What's good, everybody on YouTube? This is your boy Akil McLeod back with another video, and today is a very special day for me because today marks 3 years since I quit my job in higher education and became a full-time entrepreneur. Now, for those of you that don't know, I started working in higher education when I was 22 years old. I started out as an academic advisor, hence the name the DapperAdvisor. And in my last position, I was actually the director of the Educational Opportunity Program out at a college that I'm not going to talk about today because I don't want to give those guys any exposure whatsoever. But just to put it in a nutshell, that last experience was really bad for me. It gave me a ton of anxiety, especially the night before I had to go to work. It was really hard for me to go to sleep because I just hated being in that environment. And from that point on, I decided to just take control of my destiny and just quit that job and just kind of figure it out from there. At that point in time, I really didn't necessarily have a full-on game plan on what I was going to do, but I knew whatever I was going to do, that job had to go. So I'll just give you guys some of the helpful hints and tips that I used in order to kind of get me on the path that I'm on now. And if you guys are experiencing similar situations in your current position, hopefully you can gain some type of motivation and some inspiration to just go ahead and take that leap of faith and just take control of your own destiny. So number one, the first thing that I did in order to become a full-time reseller and quit my job successfully was I just had to lower my expenses. I knew at that point in time, whatever income I was going to make, it wasn't going to be the same, because at that point I was a director and I was making some really good money, especially for that age, and I knew whatever I was going to do next might not bring in the same amount of money. So the first thing that I did was try to lower my cell phone bill, lower my car insurance, pay off any debts that I had, and thankfully I already paid my car off in full, so that was one less bill that I had to worry about. So if you guys are on the fence and thinking about quitting your job, the main thing you want to do is just make sure you're lowering your expenses as much as possible, because once you're an entrepreneur, that steady income isn't going to be there anymore. So for me, I just wanted to make sure that I was at least able to minimize my expenditures as much as possible. Now, the next thing that I did, and I think this was really crucial and super helpful, was the fact that I saved up enough money. And I always tell people you want to save up at least 3 to 6 months worth of income. Now, I know this isn't the super popular answer because a lot of people always say things like you want to save up a year or sometimes 9 months worth of income. But for me, especially in a position where I really hated it, I knew waiting a year to save that amount of money was not going to be an option. And when you're dealing with everyday struggles and just normal life stuff happens, you know, sometimes you might have to spend $2,000 and $3,000 that you didn't necessarily plan for. And for me, I just saved up about 3 to 6 months worth of expenditures just so that I knew it would give me a cushion. It would give me a solid foundation. That way I wouldn't have to worry about paying the rent. That way I knew I wouldn't have to worry about paying certain bills. And it can just give me that freedom and that peace of mind so that I can really focus on that business and make it grow. Now, ironically, my initial business plan was to just focus on my style blog, and there I was giving men's style advice for young professionals because I was wearing shirts and ties and suits every day. So I was really just trying to share my knowledge on that, but I was able to kind of flip that same knowledge that I had on men's clothing, and I just took that into the reselling game because I was already a thrifter. But at that point, I realized that I needed to make some more money. So even though my blog was making some money, it wasn't making enough for me to really pay my bills. So I decided to take that knowledge of like knowing how to spot quality items, quality brands, and I would just go to the thrift store and try to find some of those same brands. And when I first started out, I tell people all the time, I started with just selling stuff straight out of my closet. In that first year, I made about 20,000 in sales. The next, I did about 60, and last year I did over 110,000 in sales. Now, that's not to brag. That's just to let you guys know that everybody starts somewhere. When I first got on YouTube, I wasn't doing that great, but I just wanted to start sharing the journey as fast as possible and just kind of show you guys some of the ups and downs. And I still show you guys the ups and downs because once you're an entrepreneur, there's always going to be ups and downs in this business. So don't be fooled by some of these videos you guys might see where people are talking about the millions of dollars and the fancy cars that they're driving. I know I'm not there yet. They might be, they may not be, but I just know one of the biggest things, and it's always super important, is just to trust the process. And like I tell you guys all the time, mind your business. You got to just focus on yourself. You got to make sure that you understand that everybody's journey, everybody's process is going to be different, but you have to just trust your own process and know that what you're doing is eventually going to work out. And it might take longer than others. You might not see that switch turn that fast. It might take 3 months, it might take 3 years, but for those of us, it's just different. Everybody's process is different. And once I really understood that, then is when I realized that my business really started to grow, and I just started to really enjoy the process. Next, and this is probably the most important step, is the fact that I didn't tell everybody my business. I didn't tell everybody my plans. I didn't tell everybody my goals, because one thing that I learned is that there's a lot of people that at one point or another, they may have wanted to become an entrepreneur, and their experience may have been negative, and they would usually cast those same negative aspersions on you and make you think that what you're trying to do is impossible. It's too hard. Nobody really does this. But trust me, when it comes down to it, you just need to do what's right for you. And to be completely honest, my family was completely against it. I was working in higher education at a young age. I was the first in my family to get a bachelor's and a master's degree. So everyone in my family was super excited to see me just excel in my career. But once I got to that last school, I realized that my passion for education was gone, and my entrepreneurial spirit was really, that flame was just growing bigger and bigger. So I just wanted to take full advantage of that while I was young, while I didn't have kids of my own, and I was able to take that leap of faith. Now, for those of you that may not be in a similar situation, and you have kids and you have other responsibilities, you may want to save up a little more money. You may want to lower your bills as much as possible, but at the end of the day, you just have to take that leap of faith, because I always tell people, if I can do it, you can do it too. Now, last but not least, one super important thing before you even think about becoming an entrepreneur, and this is something that I don't really hear other people talking about, is that you want to take care of your body. Because as an entrepreneur, you're going to be doing a lot of hustling, a lot of running around. Even if you're not in the reselling game, and you say you're doing something else where you're doing meetings and you're a real estate agent, you're going to have to meet people on a daily. You're going to have to rush to different meetings, and you got to take care of your mind and your body. So for me, I really started dedicating more time to the gym, and that has done wonders for the business and wonders for myself and just my confidence as well. So that's super important, and I just want you guys to just make sure that you're not taking any of these moments or any of these days for granted, because as we all know, after the passing of Kobe and Nipsey Hussle, life is too short. And when opportunities come and you have these ideas and you have these big goals in your mind, you got to take advantage of it, because tomorrow isn't promised. And once we all get older, that hustle and that drive, it does go away. Eventually, you're not going to be able to hustle as hard as you once were able to when you were younger. So just take full advantage of today. So that's all I got for today's video. So if you guys enjoy that one, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
For the winner, cause you felt like you was losing, only for the winner. Move just to keep from cooling, like only for the winner, only for the winner, only for the winner. Boy, my heart is cold, and I'm too cool to sweat it. I should've never offered it. I'm tight and now I'm off this shit.